The time has come to start dealing with the engine. Since the core of such an engine is the crankcase and the crankshaft, I started with these. The crankcases needed a thorough renewal, including some welding. The crankshaft had to be measured and its trueness checked. It turned out one of the webs was crooked. Additionally, while preparing to assemble the gearbox, I discovered some painful surprises along the way. The bottom end of an engine was ready for potential damage assessment and necessary repairs. After inspecting the initially cleaned crankcase halves, I determined that top one needed a starter motor cover thread repair. The casting in that area was cracked and it wouldn't have taken long for it to fail completely. I will try to clean it thoroughly, it's super important for aluminum. When welding aluminum, it's crucial to use a stainless steel brush dedicated solely to cleaning aluminum parts. Touch of the acetone. The height is pretty good, but I would like to tighten up the hole. Normally I should leave a surface like here, reference surface, but here we have a comfort to measure the height here. Now it's a little bit too high. Perfect. Repaired. It turned out I had to remove the starter shaft assembly I really didn't want to touch. I noticed that some of the axial teeth were cracked or partially missing. This shaft was one of the parts assembled at the factory and had never been touched since, so the screws were really stuck in there. I have to find a second sprocket to see what's the condition of the mating surfaces. This one looks pretty good. Sharp and look brand new. Soda blasting. Pretty good. After soda, it's pretty clean. The main advantage is you're not risking clogging the oil ports with glass beads, so if you rinse it, you're 100% safe. Most of the parts that were supposed to be sprayed were blasted with crushed glass. Although it's a pretty expensive media, it's very clean, abrasive enough to thoroughly clean the surface, but mild enough not to leave craters or rough texture, and it leaves no residue. You just rinse it with water, degrease, and the part is ready for paint. A lot more masking work than painting work. 3 hours of masking. Here's how it looks like. Since aluminum is pretty picky when it comes to paint adhesion, I use a special primer for all the parts that were supposed to be painted. My paint of choice for the engine parts was a ceramic modified enamel paint designed exactly for this kind of application. I chose the color carefully so it would match the original paint I found in old photos. The ceramic modified enamel needed to be baked to achieve full hardness. That wasn't a problem since for this kind of occasion I have an oven in my workshop. The crankcases though were too big to fit in it. Temperature? We're waiting for 100 degrees. 1 hour of baking our engine cases. After baking it gets a little bit darker. I really like it. One of the shafts of the gearbox after inspection. Bearings are perfect. Got some new seals here. Box of OEM parts. We'll be using them now. Every single seal is replaced with a new one. Here I had another painful surprise. Another work of a slop. I probably need to replace it, the entire shaft. It could be very pricey. Bummer. The gearbox driveshaft spline and the sprocket thread were completely butchered. I found out the reason behind this was that the slob, at this point the name I gave the previous owner or the mechanic who butchered this bike for all its years, had used the wrong sprocket nut. The original nut is expensive, has pretty unique shape and is hard to acquire. But using a regular nut won't lock the sprocket fully on the spline, which allows for axial play that destroys the spline and eventually the entire driveshaft. The slob tried to lock it by tightening the nut as hard as he could. But since the nut was seated on the start of the spline, not on the sprocket itself, that's how he managed to additionally butcher the shaft thread. But the show must go on. So I bought an engine. I bought the bottom of an engine. I should have done this a long time ago. The amount of elements I was missing was huge, but I thought I'll get lucky, but I didn't. Yeah, there are some valuable parts here, like a cover with a hole for a starter. This shaft looks like it's in a great condition. Gear lever shaft, it's perfect. There it is. I couldn't find better than this one. It should be enough. And the thread is perfect. Let's see it from the inside and hope that the bearing is good. This is what happens when you're not using the proper screwdriver. Every screw that was touched on this engine is destroyed. This is because you need a JIS screwdriver and they are a bit different. This is nasty. And that's a bit of a problem in Japanese motorcycles because usually people don't know that they should use other standard and it's not popular in Europe or even in US. Luckily those on my engine, they're all okay. And that's how I know that the engine wasn't disassembled. This screw was not touched because it's not destroyed. The last screw ended like that, probably Loctited in. I used air hammer with a JIS impact screwdriver. No way. So I ticked it. No problem. Here it is, our drive shaft. Compared to the old one, much better. Bearing is good. It's a full assembly with a shaft. correct screwdriver. JIS was locked very hard, very tight in place, but still perfect condition. Broken. So we got a new one. Two 100ths of a millimeter here and 100th of a millimeter here, so perfectly within a specification. On the second side, the runout is 300ths, and here we have 2 300ths. I measured the last place here, 700ths of a runout here, and this suggests that this place it's crooked a little bit, and here is a high spot. And we have a low spot here, so this is correct. You have to align it perfectly. It can't be rotated, so it can be like that. And the second thing is it has to be perfectly parallel. It's not parallel right now, so I will try to fix it. I'm sure that I will not make it worse in any of places here. If this is high, like here, and we push it down, this place will go down, entire web here will go like this, then this place should go up, so it all adds up. Yeah, as you can see, 800ths, 7 to 800ths. Here we have only 2 or 1.5, so I managed to tune it up to 300ths. Should be a lot better. And the way I achieved this was first I ended up using a wedge. I know it sounds brutal and looks brutal, but it's not. I used 2 pieces of steel. I put it more or less like this, start to hammer it lightly, keeping the pressure right here. I took like 2 pieces of aluminum and supported right here, and then put it a wedge here and tapped it. And at some point when I tapped it a bit more, I saw that the runout is coming down. At some point it makes a difference, and I obviously measured every single one. After the entire operation it was 8 to 900ths. Right now it's 3. This one is a bit better. It was 2, now it's 1.5.